Welcome to this episode of Junk Food on the Road. Today we're talking about
Malaysia and Singapore, kind of.
mostly Singapore, a bit of Malaysia.
Yeah, this will be like Singapore Part 2 and Malaysia Part 2.
Yeah, but we were on the other side of Malaysia.
Yeah.
And in Kuala Lumpur last time, and this time we were at a beach resort and jungle resort.
Yeah, and then
in the same resort.
Yeah, Singapore too. We have this new edition of near the airport.
Yeah.
That's sort of a new thing for us.
And there's some new stuff that's opened up there since
Singapore is ever changing.
Yes.
So,
I mean, we had zoo food too, but none of it was really zoo food.
No, I was going to say we didn't have like...
Well, that A&W was very disappointing.
Yeah.
At the zoo.
Well, so I don't know how we're going to talk about this, like in what order we'll talk about this.
Let's talk about your favorite thing from the whole trip, food-wise.
The kaya?
Yeah.
So yeah, we learned about kaya, which I'll have a blog post about this up later, or in the past, depending on when this comes out in comparison to my blog post. But I kind of question the idea of this thing called kaya and if it's going to be the new sort of flavor trend to come out of Asia.
I don't know. Like I think it's existed for a long, long time, and the two of us have only just discovered it. And basically because somebody from Malaysia pointed it out to us and told us what it was.
Although, like, Dunkin' had a donut, and then there was also shops dedicated to it.
True. But I mean, we've seen those shops all over the place already.
Maybe.
And just didn't know what kaya meant. We saw the kaya toast. I thought it was just the name of a toast place.
Yeah. So we should maybe describe what kaya is.
You can do that.
I think the best description, basically the English description for it is coconut jam.
Yeah.
So it's basically like a coconut. It's not really a jam. Like, it's not like a jam like with pectin and jelly like.
It's almost like a sauce.
Yeah, I almost consider it.
It's sort of like a runny peanut butter.
Yeah, I almost say it has a texture similar to maple butter.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
So it's sort of like the texture and is very sweet. It doesn't really taste that coconutty. It's mainly just like a kind of gritty, sweet, sort of syrupy spread. And so the notion of, I guess where it's how you're supposed to eat it, or how people commonly eat it, is you put bread, a bit of butter, and this kaya on it, which is this coconut jam, as they call it. And it's just sort of a sweet treat. And it's sort of like, it's like a Nutella without chocolate.
But it's also a breakfast, sort of. So it's
so's Nutella, it's supposed to be too, right?
Yeah, and jam in general is as a sweet treat.
I feel like though it's more of a spread than a jam.
Yeah, I think so.
Just a sweet spread. So.
But it's yummy.
It's really good. It's surprisingly not coconutty.
Yeah, but it's good. Like, how would you describe the flavor?
I mean, sweet, but like not just like a sickly sweet, but like a nice sort of almost toasty sweet and almost a bit earthy.
Fair. I only had a little bit
Mm-hmm.
when we were at the resort.
I've only had it with butter and bread too. I've never actually had just tasted it.
Like a spoonful of it.
We have a jar of it. Maybe we should crack it open at some point and taste it.
Yeah.
And just decide. Maybe I'll save that for the article. So I've either already tasted it and posted it, or stay tuned for an article.
Yeah.
Yeah, one or the other.
But that was cool because, we were at, the all-inclusive resort, and we made friends with some of the people who worked there, and that's how we found out about it.
Yeah.
Because, we'd sit with them for meals sometimes and just hang out with, like, the cool kids.
We were not.
I don't know what the cool kids are doing hanging out with us.
I don't know. But yeah, so and we sort of got the how to. It's funny because they served kaya at this all-inclusive resort, but I never really thought about it. And then after it was mentioned, I tried it, and it was like, actually, this is really good. And then after that, we went to Singapore. We're going to jump ahead a little bit just for this.
Yeah, because there's nothing much else from the resort that was new. It was resort food, basically.
Which
Which I like, because like unlimited yogurt.
Weird desserts every day.
Yeah. Some pretty good meat stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but basically, then we went to Singapore, and then I started seeing kaya everywhere, including Dunkin' Donuts in Singapore sells a kaya donut. There's actual shops that are dedicated to like kaya.
But we'd seen them even here where we live.
Yeah.
There's kaya toasts. I just thought Kaya was like a girl's name or
Something. Yeah.
something.
And then I also saw Kaya. So while we were in Singapore, after we'd gone to Malaysia, we were keeping a conversation going with our friend, and it was funny because we were trying to figure out like which type to get, and apparently there's like fancy Kayas and like plain
There's
Kayas.
like Nyonya Kaya and something else.
Yeah.
Kaya.
So there's all different kinds of Kaya to choose from. So it's sort of like, you know.
So Chris sent a picture to one of our new friends.
Yeah.
And said, "What should we get?" And they're in these little glass jars, and she's like, "I don't know. I usually just get them in these like plastic tubs. That's pretty bougie Kaya."
Yeah. So we bought ourselves some bougie Kaya. It's funny because I've actually seen coconut jam and seen it as written as coconut jam here where we live now. And so it's something that's, I think, around. And we're going to Thailand soon. I'm actually going to take a look for it just to see if it's there, just out of curiosity.
I'm pretty sure there's Kaya toast shops there too.
Yeah, I'll be paying attention to it more.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's something like I'm late in the sort of the knowing of it.
Candy Critic is behind the times.
That's fine. I can be behind the times in certain cultural things. It's not my culture, so I can learn.
And what were those little Kaya balls that we never
Apparently,
found?
yeah, there's Kaya balls.
They were all sold out.
Which is something I'm going to look for in Thailand too. Because if there's a Kaya toast place that has Kaya balls, I might try them. Because apparently that's a way to have them. So.
Yeah, we can try.
I'm curious. There's a lot of curiosity, but I sort of think like Singapore. I don't know where Kaya comes from. I mean, the only reason I think Malaysia is because a Malaysian person showed us it for the first time. But whether that's true or not, I don't know. And I sort of wonder, like, you know, if this is an upcoming trend thing, or if this is because there's a lot of, or if it's a trend thing that like never made it to the West. Like salted egg never really made it to the West, but was a massive thing in Southeast Asia and even other parts of Asia.
Yeah.
And so you kind of wonder if this is another one of those and just something that was missed. So I'm kind of interested. Like, it's an interesting thing that sort of I became slightly obsessed with while we were on this trip. But you know, it was fascinating. So I'm going to dig a little more and again write an article about it. But how I discovered it was just, you know, somebody that treats it like it's an everyday thing, but said you have to try this.
Yeah, I just maybe somewhere on the internet we can figure out when it was first invented or
where it was. I mean, we know salted egg was Singapore.
Yeah, and that was like in the past 15 years or so.
Yeah. So, the sort of moral of the story overarching is that there's a lot of flavors and interesting things that just are not around, like North America.
Yeah.
And they're great.
And they're amazing.
Yeah, you're just missing out on them.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's funny because a lot of people from Southeast Asia have heard of a lot of the trendy stuff in North America, more so than I think the other way around.
Yeah, I think so.
So, you know, there's
I guess
people who have never tried a Pop-Tart, but they know that they exist, at least. A Kaya Pop-Tart. Ugh.
Okay.
That'd be amazing.
You want me to tell my Pop-Tart story?
No, it's okay.
Good.
I think it's been told.
All right.
But yeah, so Kaya became like a thing for us, and it's going to continue to be a thing for me because I'm really curious about it.
Okay, Wikipedia. I'm looking it up on Wikipedia.
Allison's looking up Kaya right now. And so, I mean, but basically, again, it's you just put it on toast with butter. And I assume I put like a thin layer on, not too thick.
Yep.
And it works. But yeah, there's shops that you can just get Kaya toast. Just that. I mean, they're Kaya balls, Kaya toast. I think they have like different little combinations you can get with it and everything like that. But
it doesn't really seem to suggest when it was invented. So I think it's just always been. There's articles referenced from 2004 here.
Okay, so it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
We can at least say it's been around for
it's pretty
last
much
20 years at the very least.
It might be originally from Philippines. It's sometimes called coconut custard in English.
Okay. I don't think it's a custard though.
No. Well, the Kaya of Thailand is called Sang Kaya.
Okay.
And it's there's two major types. One is more liquid than the other.
Okay.
The less thick is similar to what is eaten in Malaysia and Indonesia.
Singapore.
Or you can dip your bread into it too.
Singapore is kind of a hard one because it's such a port city for all over Southeast Asia. So it's one of the challenges of sort of when you visit Singapore and you discover something new is you don't actually know if it's something new.
Or it's just new to you.
Or it's new to you, and then you don't even know where it's from. And the only thing you can almost guarantee every time, nothing against Singapore, but almost everything you ever try in Singapore is probably not from Singapore. Like,
yeah.
Singapore is sort of
with the possible exception of the Singapore sling.
Yeah. And even that's probably based on a drinks from somewhere else and was just tasted in Singapore. But like, and you know, Canada suffers from a little bit of that as well. Like I was recently writing a thing about Canada's national food. And it's a really hard thing to pin down because a lot of our national food is food from other cultures. I mean, we have poutine, but that's sort of, I mean, I know it's French Canadian, but it's not French France. So it's definitely sort of got its more roots in Canada, but Singapore, I think, suffers and benefits from that same problem in that it's hard to say a style of food or a type of food that's truly Singaporean because there's just so much influence from all over the world because it is such a big port town. And so for us sort of learning about kaya, because when we were in Malaysia, we were pretty sequestered off in this jungle resort. So when we sort of were in public place and we learned about kaya, we were in Singapore, and it's hard because it's such a port place. Like, you know, there'll be a kaya toast place next to a Dunkin' Donuts next to like a ramen shop, like literally. And so it's like,
I know, it's the world.
It's an interesting hodgepodge.
It's like Toronto, like.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. It's comparing it. So they suffer. So it's that's an interesting thing about Singapore. And we could talk about Singapore. We can get off kaya.
Yeah, but just let me. A blog says one of the earliest documented recipes for kaya jam appeared in a 19th century cookbook.
There you go. It's been around forever.
It's got eggs and stuff in it too, which I guess gives it some viscosity.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe modern kaya doesn't have eggs. I can imagine. But let's see if I can find a recipe for kaya.
Well, apparently there was one in the 19th century.
There you go. So I guess after our resort vacation, where we ate lots of resorty foods and you know both Western foods and some Malaysian inspired foods, we went to Singapore, and we actually started in Singapore and then ended in Singapore because we do a lot of shopping while we're traveling in Singapore to get sort of stock up on supplies from where we live, because where we live doesn't necessarily have the best of certain things. But what we did differently this time than we normally do is we sort of explored the area around the airport in Singapore,
for shopping purposes.
Shopping purposes, but it's kind of interesting because we were in the middle of sort of an industrial area, and there was a mall that had like an Indian store in it, like an Indian grocery store. Remember in the basement?
Yeah, that's true. There was an Indian grocery store.
So it had like a kind of.
But I mean, the reason we stopped there for a couple of days, well, we stopped there for one full day because we had a 2-night layover to get to Malaysia, to where we were going in Malaysia. So we thought, what a great opportunity to check out the grocery stores and other stores.
This is the area around the airport.
Near the airport. And then stay our last day in Singapore, because we visited Singapore for almost a week, I guess, after Malaysia. Mm-hmm. And you know, we sort of did a recon mission to shop before coming back here.
Yeah.
Because good groceries are really hard to find here.
Yeah.
So that's how that happened. And it was a totally positive experience.
Yeah. So the one thing about Singapore is it's very sort of, it functions very well as a city, and this is a great example of it in that there's basically an entire sort of, it's an industrial area around the airport, like it's all like office buildings, but there's a hotel and a shopping area.
Shopping mall. It's a shopping mall.
Shopping mall. It's not a big shopping mall, but it's a pretty.
But it's sufficient. It's got good restaurants.
And good grocery stores, good restaurants.
It had an amazing Japanese pork cutlet restaurant that rivals my favorite pork cutlet restaurant in Japan.
So there you go. And it had so it's a really good system they have going on. There's a lot of people nowadays, because the Jewel, which is the mall that's actually attached to the airport, everybody kind of goes there. But I would say if you've got a couple of, like a day,
Yeah, like a full day,
a full
or
day,
even a half day.
and you're looking to sort of maybe do a little more local-ish, in that you're not going to be like, it's not like,
running around looking at fake waterfalls and people with suitcases.
But even the stores were like Louis Vuitton. It was an airport type thing. I mean, there's a grocery store I saw in the basement.
There was McDonald's. There was a grocery store.
But if you really sort of want to do something a little bit more, like first of all,
Muji.
Yeah, if you go check out the sort of industrial sort of area around the Changi
Well, it's
Airport.
like one stop away from the Changi Airport.
Yeah, it's Expo.
It's called Expo.
And there's a mall right there.
Yeah,
and
you don't even you barely have to go outside to get to the mall.
Yeah, exactly. So it's well worth checking out.
There's an underground entrance to the mall.
They had shoes my size, which I know is unrelated to snacks, but unbelievable.
But impossible to find in Asia.
Yeah.
As a size 13 men's shoe.
Yeah, so and it's interesting. It was really fascinating. Again, if you have the time and you want to do something maybe a little more than the Jewel.
And they have a Mr. Bean in their basement.
Yep. Which you were a little disappointed with.
I was disappointed with that Mr. Bean. It was not the best Mr. Bean I've ever had.
Yeah.
Or maybe Mr. Bean is no longer new, so they've sort of fallen off on the quality control.
Yeah. We also once again failed on burritos.
Well, the burritos were terrible.
There's this weird obsession with like burritos being like not having burrito stuff in it.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like there was corn in my burrito.
Yeah. And like I got a quesadilla with hardly any cheese.
Yeah.
And queso means cheese.
Yeah.
So, like, that was really strange.
So.
But not too far from our hotel, well, probably about 2.5 kilometers, which is a nice walk for us, there is a southern barbecue.
That was
That was in Singapore.
In Singapore, not
where we were. Yeah. Okay.
Changi,
sorry.
yeah.
I'm getting distracted by all the food now.
Yeah. Okay.
Not location.
Well, I think we've talked enough about the Changi stuff.
I think so.
Talk about Singapore. It's our second time talking about Singapore. I think in this we've done the Singapore one already.
We've talked about Mr. Bean before.
Yeah, we've talked about Mr. Bean. We went to the zoo again because the zoo there is fantastic. So if you like zoos.
It's 4 different zoos all in the same area.
Yeah.
And so we'd been to one, then we'd been to another one, and then we did the last 2.
Yeah, and they were great.
Yeah. River Wonders, I don't know. Like, they had timed tickets for the bird paradise, which was awesome. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the bird paradise very much. But it's almost like River Wonders is treated as like the ugly little sister of the zoos. And it was amazing.
Yeah, it was really good.
I loved it.
Yeah. I thought it was really nice. No. I mean, the bird paradise was neat, but
yeah,
maybe we're a little jaded because we used to have a pet bird, so we kind of look at it and go, well.
Well, no, I had a really good time at Bird Paradise, but I liked River Wonders a little bit better. And it was like nowhere near as crowded because they don't sort of make it like the hot ticket to get.
Yeah.
Of course, Bird Paradise is completely new and revamped,
yeah,
so that
so
also.
Maybe that.
But the night zoo is still the best.
Yeah. Food-wise, I gotta say, it's kind of disappointing around there. Like, it's okay.
We got a Diet Coke.
Well, no, we went to Starbucks. We had to go to Starbucks for lunch because it was literally the only thing at the front. Like,
right.
The one thing I must say, like the Toronto Zoo, which I enjoy a lot, and a lot of other zoos, there's sort of like restaurants inside where you can get stuff.
Yeah, but even the Toronto Zoo is not that great.
The only thing they had inside the River Wonder was they had like a panda-themed restaurant that had like bao buns that were like colored like pandas and stuff like that because there's a new pandas exhibit there.
Yeah, I totally don't remember that at all.
But like I kind of like every once in a while I feel like the Singapore Zoo had more food options, but I remember we recently went to the zoo in Ohio in Toledo, and it had a few options for food too.
So now we're talking about the United States.
But I'm just saying that, like, for such a big zoo.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of disappointing. Mm-hmm. Like, even when we've been to the Singapore Zoo before, like in the main zoo, like the one that's just called the Singapore Zoo, it was just basically a food court type thing just outside. And then there were a few things inside.
Yeah.
This is massive, so you need something.
But yeah, and so basically our 2 meals, we did Starbucks for lunch because it was just outside of the first area we'd be around.
And the worst matzo burgers in the world.
Yeah, so there's an A&W, which A&W in
Asia
has been, in Southeast Asia, has been disappointing to.
Yeah, in Thailand they only serve chicken and ice cream.
So we couldn't quite figure that out. So we saw an A&W that served burgers, so we were excited. We saw that they sell the matzo burger. We're like, awesome. Matzo burger. It's like, that's our order. A little nostalgia. That's what going to like a place like Singapore, you can get a little nostalgia. It's got this.
There wasn't even any mozzarella on it.
There's exactly. It's matzo sauce, like the
They
matzo
didn't-
burger sauce.
Did they even have the matzo burger
Yeah,
sauce?
they did. It was like Thousand Island dressing
I guess.
with cheddar cheese, and it's called a matzo burger.
Yeah, and it wasn't even good cheddar cheese. It was
Like processed cheese. It was just
like
a
Cheese
cheeseburger.
Whiz
It was
or
a
something.
cheeseburger with the Thousand Island sauce. That's all it was.
Yeah, and it didn't even have like all the vegetables you usually get on it.
Well, you don't normally.
And no
get
bacon.
There was no bacon.
Like no bacon on a matzo
There was
burger?
beef bacon.
Okay, but there wasn't very much. It was,
It was like
it
one
was like the
slice.
size of my thumb.
Yeah, it was disappointing.
It was really disappointing.
And it was just kind of confusing, but
And not very filling because you couldn't get a double matzo burger. They
Yeah.
didn't even know what that was. And like I don't eat bread, so like I just had a tiny little patty with a thumb-sized piece of bacon and some crappy cheese.
the only thing I'll give them is at least their mugs were chilled.
I couldn't have root beer because they didn't have sugar-free root
Yeah,
beer.
they didn't have like the root beer. It was amazingly
It
disappointing.
was terrible. Just a reminder, I am allergic to all carbohydrates, including pastas, rices, breads, and sugars.
Yeah.
So,
And even I don't mind diet. Like
Potatoes.
I'm kind of on a diet thing now anyway, where it's like if I can get the diet or zero version, I always do.
yeah.
And so I don't mind diet root beer. Like diet A&W root beer is quite good. And the fact that they didn't have it was really, and it's funny because Singapore's not adverse to sugar-free stuff. Like we found you sugar-free stuff.
Lots of sugar-free stuff. Quest cookies, Quest bars, Quest shakes. It was all good.
So like the fact that
And egg slut. I said it.
it's Allison, it's sort of like a burger place, but just with eggs.
Yeah, and you can get a version that doesn't have a bun. Like it's all egg sandwiches, but you can get a bun-free version, and they give you a arugula salad or rocket salad, depending on where you're from,
Yeah.
with it. And it was like, it's not super filling, but it's like zero things that are bad for me.
Yeah.
And it was so nice.
Yeah, and the fact that they're willing to change their menu quite easily.
And I had a Tim Hortons coffee too,
Yes.
near Egg Slut.
Yeah. There's Tim Hortons as well, which we always take advantage of. That's our rule as Canadians. We have to stop at every Tim Hortons we can.
Yeah.
Um,
But Egg Slut was good, and Chris agreed to go to lunch there 2 times, which was nice of him, because I know he doesn't really like eggs very much.
eggs sometimes bug my tummy if I eat too many. But yeah, and we did McDonald's a couple times.
Yeah, we did.
And that was okay. And
Yeah.
I mean, Singapore is sort of a bit of our Western stuff, which it always has plenty.
It did, the movie theater, we went to a movie there, and we literally had the most expensive tiny box of popcorn I've ever had in my whole life.
It was like the size of a tiny box of cereal.
Yeah. And it was the large.
Yeah.
We got a large popcorn so we could share it. And they handed us this like little tiny box.
It was like the size
for like
of the,
$10 or something.
It was like the size of the Lucky Elephant popcorn.
Yes, that was about right. Yeah.
And it was just like, and it was cold, and like $10 for this. And it's just like I can see paying $10. Like we were sort of like, okay, $10 for popcorn. We know we're in a theater; it's expensive. But generally, you get like a decent sized bucket. This was like 3 handfuls, and we were done.
Yeah. And not even warm. They don't even keep it in a warmer.
No, it's just a box of
No
cold
butter.
popcorn. Nothing.
Nothing.
It was.
Gross.
Yeah, it was disappointing, and
But we got clotted cream at Marks and Spencer.
which is although odd because we saw clotted cream in more places there before.
Yeah.
We've noticed a sort of general decline in clotted cream in Asia.
But I feel like there wasn't a Marks and Spencer there before for some reason.
I don't know.
I don't remember going to one. I remember going to the Magia and getting clotted cream, but they moved the Magia
Yeah,
and it's smaller now.
yeah, it was okay, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
I got CC Lemon a few times.
Fair Price is the better grocery store to go to now.
Yeah.
Although they don't have clotted cream either.
Yeah,
You cannot get clotted cream pretty much anywhere in Asia, and you can't make it either because to make clotted cream you need fresh whipping cream, and all of the whipping cream in Asia is UHT,
yeah. So
not fresh.
it becomes problematic.
Yeah. So you crave clotted cream if you're a scones and jam and clotted cream, Devon cream, Cornish cream, whatever you want to call it, aficionado.
Fortunately, we have a trip to the UK planned in the near future, so we're gonna go crazy.
Yeah, pig out on scones. Which I'm allergic to.
We should bring you some mix, because aren't we staying at a hostel?
That is true.
You could pre-mix a mix and then just get the liquid ingredients there.
That's a good idea.
What is it, an egg, some oil, and some water? Milk, maybe?
I'd have to look at the box.
But yeah, that might be an idea. You could bake some.
I'm sure that we can get the ingredients to finish up my zero carb scone mix stuff.
Yeah, we just do
like
a
it's
little baggie
London,
of
it has everything.
Yeah. We hope.
Or at least everything whiteys like us would want.
Yeah. I wonder if they have kaya.
They have a big. I don't know how big their Asian population is.
Well, like the big.
There's someone from everyone for sure.
Like Manchester and up there has a huge Pakistani population.
Yeah, but I don't think Kaya is in Pakistan. Like they've got definitely a huge subcontinent. They've got.
There is a Chinatown in London.
Yeah, and there's like a little India and.
Well,
and
India, there's a lot.
There's a big Cypriot area.
Yeah.
But they're not really Asia either.
I guess you have to depend on it having been conquered or by the British at some point.
Oh God.
But yeah, that's off on another subject. So Singapore. Zoo. We did some shopping.
Crappy food at the zoo. Actually, I really enjoyed my Starbucks meal.
I'm always iffy about Starbucks meals. They're okay.
I don't know what's wrong with you and Starbucks. Mine was good. It was an egg wrap, which was really nice. It was nice to see something that sort of caters to my weird dietary restrictions.
Yeah. It's true.
And there was in the middle of the bird zoo, there was a little cafe where we stopped to cool off a little bit and have a Diet Coke. And it was called Egg something, but there were no eggs, but it was because it was the bird eggs.
Yeah.
And there was like an egg-themed little water playground for the kids.
Yeah, I remember that now.
It was awesome.
That was cool. The best was seeing the parents frighteningly climbing along this egg sculpture. Scared they were going to fall off.
Sliding down.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah. Again, though, that kind of surprised me. Again, it's funny because you say that, like, going back to the zoo, the fact that you could get all that at the burger place, the A&W, was so sort of disappointing when.
It was very disappointing.
Yeah.
The McDonald's was okay for a place that served mostly chicken sausages in their.
Yeah. I guess
their sausage and egg McMuffins.
That's one thing that I guess people don't really think about in North America is you always think of it as like being a pork sausage, but in a lot of places in the world it's chicken, and some places it's
because chicken is good for kosher, halal, and Hindi.
But like there's some places, wasn't it Poland that had chicken as well? There was some place like in Europe that had chicken, and it was kind of like surprising. It was sort of like, oh, okay. So you kind of wonder.
I don't know.
I mean, places.
Are you sure it wasn't like somewhere else?
Maybe. I just thought it was. I thought it was Poland that maybe had chicken patties.
I don't remember eating at McDonald's in Poland.
We did, because the roasties. That's where we first discovered that they were called the hash browns were called roasties. That was in Poland.
I had roasties as hash browns even before I met you.
But that was where we actually have like pictures of McDonald's roasties. The word roastie on it. So
you look at our pictures more than I do, so.
But yeah, it's interesting, like when you go travel around just to see people often say about McDonald's, oh, it's all the same, and it's like there's so many differences.
Oh, there's some terrible McDonald's in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some great ones too.
The masala chicken burger in Agra
was awful.
Just still gives me nightmares.
What about there was a lamb burger in New Zealand, wasn't it?
Yeah, that wasn't very good. And I love lamb.
I'm surprised there wasn't a kangaroo burger in Australia, but
we ate kangaroo there anyway.
But just that McDonald's didn't have one.
No.
I'm surprised. But yeah, we tend to visit McDonald's when we travel, particularly for breakfasts.
Yeah, especially when we live in places that don't have McDonald's. It's kind of like a can't have it-itis.
Yeah. We tend to not eat there as much when we're back home.
When it's available, we don't want it.
Yeah.
But when we can't have it, it's the only
first
thing we want.
Go for. So, I think that's about it. Was there anything else in Singapore
Food-wise, I don't know. Expensive popcorn, egg slut.
Did some shopping? Was there anything?
Kaya.
I don't think there's anything grocery shopping wise we got that was particularly ultra fascinating.
No, I don't think so.
Found a few treats and stuff that were imports that were kind of neat, but.
Yeah, you got some Kit Kats that were kind of fun.
Got some Kit Kat cereal too.
Yeah, and we got some stuff at Don Quixote, or they call it what? Donkey there?
Donkey.
Donkey.
Yeah.
It's donkey, but it's called Don Quixote.
Yeah.
It's a Japanese sort of department store.
Yeah.
With a lot of food stuff.
Which they're all over the place in Asia now.
Yeah, they're in Thailand and Singapore at least.
I think they're in a few other places too. I've seen a few other people post about it. The funny thing, and this is donkey related, not as much with food, but there's a song that they incessantly play over and over again. Like Don Quixote, at least in Thailand and Japan, you have to really be able to sort of block out outside noise because it's blaring at you. It's like a loud, confusing place. But the ones in Singapore are a little quieter. And the interesting thing is there's this theme song that they just play on a loop, which isn't very long, so it plays constantly. And I've only heard it in Thai and Japanese before. But in Singapore, they have it in English.
Oh, that's true.
And it was so awesome. So like, it's the donkey song in English.
It's funny because I never noticed it was like the same song in Japan all the time. I'm always just more overwhelmed by how crowded and bright it is, and just there's noise.
Yeah, there's other noise too. Like this one didn't have, like a lot of times in Don Quixote in Japan and in Thailand, they have also like little monitors playing like little commercials all over the place too. So you have that noise with the music at the same time. It's just weird noise.
I usually try and get out of Don Quixote as quickly as I can.
I always believe I'm gonna have fun, and then 10 minutes later I just want to leave.
I know. It's like the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
You just keep doing the same thing over and over again, thinking you'll get a different result.
I keep thinking it's good. This will be fun this time, and then I go and I'm like, this is miserable.
It's like that store in Athens we used to go to all the time.
Jumbo.
Yeah, Jumbo. The Barbie song.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of songs. Yes, well, that's probably for another podcast called Weird Discount Stores and their designs. Be thankful, North America, that you don't have these, because it's insanity.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Nothing.
People in North America are going, what? We have Dollarama. How different could it be?
Merely a taste.
You have no idea.
Taste of insanity. Oh, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think so. I think we have done way more than Singapore and Malaysia.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening to another episode of Junk Food on the Road, where we sort of talked about Malaysia and Singapore.
And other places.
And other places. As always, you can follow us on Twitter @CandyCritic, or just go to candycritic.org and find links to a bunch of other social media and stuff like that. We're always on whatever's cool and hip that the...
I'm not.
No, Allison. She doesn't even know that those exist.
I don't. I just joined Insta.
Don't say that out loud, because you might have some... The 5 fans might want to follow you now.
I never check it.
Yeah, you can go to Candy Critic. You can also find links to my books, find links to Candy Critic t-shirts, and also just read the latest cool reviews, including for some of the things we may have mentioned in this podcast. So thanks for listening to another episode, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, you forgot your ice cream.
Ice cream?
In Singapore. Your $1 ice cream.
I wrote a blog about it. You can read it later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.